Hey everyone, it's Jasmine from Jasmine's Astrology, but you can call me Jay. And on today's video, I want to talk about the full moon in Virgo. So this year's full moon in Virgo takes place on March 7th around 7:40 a.m. Eastern at 16 degrees of Virgo. It'll happen just an hour before Saturn moves into Pisces, which even though I've done a lot of thinking and writing about that transit still feels really wild to say that Saturn is moving into Pisces. If you want more on what I have to say about that transit, you can check out a link in the description. So let's get back to the full moon, though. In general, a full moon is very illuminating. It's reflecting all that light from the sun. So it can bring things into focus, kind of like a story that's reaching its peak. It's coming to a kind of, high point or even a culminating point. So we tend to get some level of clarity or even a revelation under a full moon. And it's also a time when moods and emotions tend to be heightened and intensified. There's a bit of a primal quality that comes up with a full moon. And, all the things that are usually hidden in the dark are in full illumination. They're out and about, right? So in the wild, that might mean like wolves and other animals. But in domestic life, in our everyday life, that could mean that fears, anxieties, emotions, secrets, things that we maybe don't share as often are coming up. They're being revealed, they're in the light. And I really wonder how much of that might be sort of emboldened by an aspect that's actually taking place just a day before the full moon, but which also involves the sun. And I'm referring to the Sun in Pisces sextile Uranus in Taurus, which is happening at 15 degrees. So, with the full moon at 16 degrees, it's still very much sort of in the cosmos, in the air when the full moon hits. So, Sun sextile Uranus is all about kind of going your own way. It's a chance to honor and embody something about ourselves that's, quirky or different, something that doesn't conform to the status quo. But it might be something that that we might hesitate in sharing because it would make us stand out from the crowd. But this aspect really provides an invitation to liberate ourselves from whatever might be preventing us from sharing and, sharing that part of ourselves and shining in a more authentic way. So it's very encouraging. The energy is very encouraging for pursuing our individuality because that's what's going to really inspire and enliven us at the end of the day. And so, I just wonder how much the qualities of discovery and awakenings under a sun sextile Uranus might kind of play off of the sort of revelatory and illuminating qualities of the full moon. Perhaps we're first learning to kind of acknowledge and embrace the thing that sets us apart or the things that set us apart. And then under the full moon, we feel called to reveal or highlight it in some way. For the full moon, we always want to take a look at the ruler. So in this case, we're looking to Mercury because Mercury rules Virgo. And at the time of this lunation, Mercury will be in Pisces. And I did talk more about that placement in a previous video. So check that out if you want more. But with a full moon in Virgo, we're already highlighting the Virgo-Pisces axis in our chart because, of course, the moon, like being in Virgo, and then the sun being in Pisces in opposition to each other, that's how we get that full moon, right? So anytime we have a full moon in Virgo, it's already bringing that axis in our chart into focus. And then when we put Mercury, the ruler of the lunation, also in Pisces, it sort of doubles down on all of that and on the importance of this axis right now. And to me, that really speaks to this idea that the analytical and material characteristics and qualities of Virgo will have to find some kind of balance with the more emotional and soulful qualities of Pisces. So very sort of brass tacks basics, like a full moon in Virgo is often really a great time for streamlining and organizing and consolidating. It's a good time to do a deep clean, purging items from your closets, anything in that vein that will help you sort of, make part of your life run more efficiently. And with Mercury in Pisces, I kind of see this purging as something that also provides a chance to heal. So it's like letting go of physical items may also help us to release an emotional or a spiritual weight of sorts. Or maybe the method in which we're organizing and consolidating is somehow driven by the way that we're feeling. It's like a little less practical and a little more intuitive, but things are getting organized nonetheless. Now, Virgo loves to problem solve and figure out ways to make things more functional so we can, then use our time more wisely. But as our physical routines shift and change, we need to be prepared and, prepared for and attend to any of the emotional responses that might sort of crop up because of those changes. And with the Sun sextile Uranus aspect in the mix, we might also be feeling quite innovative or willing to think outside the box when it comes to reworking our systems. Virgo prefers a tangible result, which has maybe felt a little more out of reach with Mercury in Pisces over these last few days. And this full moon could provide a bit of a break from the very messy and malleable version of Mercury. With all of that light shining into our Virgo houses, which is, otherwise unoccupied at the moment, it's really just that moon reflecting back the light of the sun. It kind of feels like we might get this like piece of insight that we've been waiting for in regards to like a current problem or something. It's like this piece of the puzzle that's going to make it all come together. So if you've been feeling a little unclear or hazy on how to move forward with something, March 6th, 7th, and even 8th might be a really good time to kind of sit down with the issue and look a little closer. With Mercury in Pisces, we may come to the solution by trusting the creative and intuitive sides of ourselves. And again, with the Sun Uranus sextile in the mix, the solution might rely on being more true to yourself in some way. So don't try to solve the problem in the way that everyone else would. Do it your way. I hope that's given you some things to consider for this upcoming full moon. I'd love to hear how it all goes for you and how you're celebrating the full moon. What kind of rituals and practices do you have for the full moon? Let me know in the comments. And if you liked the video, maybe give it a like, maybe subscribe to the channel if you're digging the vibes that I'm putting down. And at any rate, thank you so much for watching. Happy full moon in Virgo. And until next time, I'll catch you in the cosmos.